So we just wanted, first of all, to pay a courtesy call to you and reiterate our support and the fact that you can count on Canada, particularly with respect to key elements of your manifesto that actually aligns really well with some of our priorities, be it like on the side of agriculture, on the side of global health, and also looking at energy, mining, and really ensuring that we can support. We have lots of expertise that we can lend to your government in order to help advance some of the common goals that we have. I also wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate you on selecting the first vice president, woman vice president.
Yes.
I'm very thrilled about that because, as you know, Canada has a feminist policy as well, and that translates into many of the initiatives that we undertake as part of our international development as well. We also know that security, peace and security is very important in the region, particularly with everything that is going in the north. And Ghana plays a key role. We've been working very closely with the Ghana Armed Forces and providing as well some training support. We have the LC initiative that has fostered more women in the Ghanaian Armed Force and supporting them as they move forward. The other pieces that we're very happy to see within your manifesto is the whole notion of green economy, as well as food security and agriculture, because we know this is very important. And I'm actually curious to find out a little more about the 24-hour economy.
Okay.
And also looking at the work that you're already doing with respect to tackling corruption with the chairman of your task force here. So just wanted to put those elements on the table because these are very important, and I'm very happy to see that we have some commonalities with respect to all these elements.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I assumed the congratulations of Canada even before you came, so this is just a bonus. We've always had very huge respect for Canada in terms of your democracy, governance, and general management of your country. And so we've had a great historic relation with Canada. I remember in the early days when I was just coming into public service, Canada was our biggest, donor ahead of everybody else. And I remember growing up in the north, a lot of Canadian investment was put in the north to try and address the imbalance between the northern part of our country and the south. And so we had CIDA, which was the Canadian International Development Agency, working very actively in the north in terms of providing clean drinking water, especially to many rural communities. And there were many rural engagements, trying to identify what the felt needs of the people were. And healthcare was one of those that was prioritized. And so a lot of issues to do with public health were handled with CIDA in those days. Gradually, the structure of our international relations and investment have changed, and so we have many other countries that have come up, China, India, and all the others, especially in terms of infrastructure. But we have a very good relation with Canada, and I think that Canada targets its support to the most critical areas that are important, like healthcare and all of that. And so we appreciate it, and we look to expanding those relationships. You really hit where my passion is, and that's agriculture. And I know that Canada is one of the biggest food-producing countries in the world. And both in terms of technology and investment are things that we want to see how we can, up our relationship in those particular areas, especially in the value addition end. It's not enough to ask farmers to produce and encourage them to produce and support them to produce and then you leave them to their own destiny when it comes to marketing and processing. And so one of the things we want to emphasize in the next administration going forward is the marketing and processing end of the whole agricultural value chain. It's not enough to just produce maize and leave the farmer to the, devices of the middlemen who buy at any price and make a whopping, profit on it at the expense of the farmer. How can we put in processing capacity? How can we ensure minimum guaranteed prices, at the end of every farming season, so that the farmer knows that at least I'll recoup the investment that I put in. We must be able to calculate how much weedicides and pesticides and fertilizers and all the inputs that the farmer puts in, improved seeds and all that, and be able to say that, look, a bag of maize should not sell less than this. We're not going to intervene in the market and force it, but let the farmer know that with whatever input you put in, this is the fair price that you must get for your produce. If you can get it on the market higher, that's good. But we must also find a way where the national buffer stock is not working as it should. I think we should bring in the private sector to be able to mop up excess products so that we're able to maintain a fair price for the farmer. And so these are all things that we're thinking about, and I'm sure that they're best practices, especially in places like Canada, so that we can work together and see how we're able to achieve this. The next area is mining, and I've mentioned Canada several times, Canada, Australia, and other places where mining takes place. And the point I make is small-scale mining is not illegal. It is recognized by our mining laws. It is how we do it without destroying the environment that is important. And it takes place in Canada, it takes place in Australia, it takes place in many other parts of the world, but it is done in a way that is responsible and does not destroy the environment. And after mining has taken place, there are modern methods of reclamation of the land to restore it back to what it was. And so working with you to pass on that technology to our mining sector, you can see the devastation that mining is wreaking in our environment. How do we put in technology for reclamation so that we're able to restore the land back to what it was after mining has been completed? And so those are all areas that I think we would want to look at. And thanks for the congratulations on our historic first female vice president. Yes. It makes all of us happy and glad that finally the glass ceiling has been broken.
Yes.
It was shattered in 2020 and we've broken it now. And as she herself said, it's not enough to open the door. She has to keep the door open for many other females to follow. And so she's going to do just that.
She's the only head commissioner to go pay a courtesy call on her.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I did. I met her yesterday.
No, fantastic. And so she's going to do a lot of work. I'm happy that it's not a gesture of a superficial gesture, but also because she is capable in her own right, more than qualified to be vice president or even president. She's achieved a lot in her personal and professional life, and I think that she deserves, to have been elected the vice president. We're going to be partners. She calls me boss, but I'm going to ask her to change that to partner. We're going to be partners in doing the work that Ghanaians expect us to do, and it's my prayer that we'll work assiduously to meet the expectations of the Ghanaian people. The energy sector is another area in which this outgoing administration has mismanaged in a major way. They've kept the lights on at the expense of accruing a very huge debt. That debt is being audited, and so far we're looking at $2.5 billion. And so not paying the producers of energy, just piling on the debt and paying other things that are not as critical as paying down the energy sector debt. ECG has a very poor governance record. And aside from that, its losses are so huge. Technical and commercial losses, about 32%. I don't see any utility that can run with 32% commercial and technical losses and be able to continue to survive. And yet the little money that comes should be prioritized in paying those who provided the electricity. Instead, they take a chunk of it and use it to import crude oil. They're more interested in supplying crude oil than exploiting our upstream where we have a lot of gas so that we can provide cheaper gas. If we could cover our energy production with 100% gas, that will save us in excess of $1 billion every year. And yet, they've driven all the upstream people out. He and I went and took refuge in Cote d'Ivoire. ExxonMobil exited. The Hess field, which became Aka, has been lying redundant for so many years. Talo have new discoveries. They need encouragement to be able to pump. They've gone into arbitration with them over tax and all. I mean, it's just created a mess. And so gas production has gone down. And so we're having to use more light crude oil. And that makes electricity production more expensive. And so if you chose that option, then at least pay the IPPs for producing. And yet they're not paying them. And so the debt on that area has ballooned. The energy sector needs urgent surgery. Urgent surgery. Otherwise, it can collapse everything. And so when the Minister of Finance says the economy is turning around, you have a 2.5 billion debt. Your bailout is only 3 billion. And so 2.5 billion debt sitting and breathing, you know, and you say the economy is turning around, that alone can crash everything that has been done. And so they want to create a more upbeat, you know, story about their economic management before they leave office. But like I said, we're going to open the books when we come and let Ghanaians know what the true situation is. Because if Ghanaians understand what the true situation is, then they will understand some of the measures we have to take to bring things back to normal. Yeah. And so we would expect, you know, if we can cooperate with you. The World Bank already is taking the lead for energy sector reform. And so we've had a preliminary discussion with them. And so we're going to work with the World Bank and any of our other bilateral partners who are able and willing to help us to improve the efficiency in the energy sector is something we're going to look at, especially the last mile distribution, which is the ECG portion, where we can put in more prepaid metering, bring in private sector to handle that last mile in terms of responding to queries from customers, in terms of ensuring that meters are working properly and recording properly, in terms of making sure that the billing is good, so that we're able to optimize the amounts that we're collecting to be able to pay down the debt. But one of the things we'll have to sit urgently and do is to sit with the IPPs and see how we can negotiate a payment plan that's not wreck everything that we're doing in terms of fiscal reform. So that's something that we'll look at. With regards to oral operation to cover all the loot, I announced the preparatory committee, and I think people are misunderstanding it. We're receiving a lot of information on things that are going wrong, or things, I mean, corruption scandals and all that. Some send me texts on my phone, some call me, others pass through other people. We want a focal point where all that evidence is directed, and so that they can assemble that evidence. And once we come into office, oral is not going to be investigating people. It's going to gather the evidence and pass on that evidence to the government institutions that are geared, supposed to do that kind of work. And so we just want that if people have any information that they think is useful in the fight against corruption, pass it on to this team. That's what the team is about. And they're all doing that service pro bono. They're not expecting any payment. There's no expenditure or budget associated with the task that they're carrying out. And so that's the explanation for it. Yeah. And so I don't think that people should think that it's witch hunting committee.
Yeah.
They have no brooms to fly at night, so I can assure people that it's not meant to witch hunt, people. With regards to the 24-hour economy, I'm sure in Canada you're familiar with the 24-hour economy. We have opportunities that we're not taking advantage of. We've had the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme for many years, but we've not done anything deliberate to take advantage of it. We have recently signed the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement that allows us to export to a market of 1.3 billion people. And so I know that the 24-hour economy will come with a lot of adjustments and fiscal reform and creating the environment for people to be able to increase their productivity, and so that they can meet the opportunities that we have in terms of a bigger market. And so all we're saying is we're going to create that environment and also incentivize those who want to expand production and take advantage of the bigger market to be able to do so. One of the advantages I can tell we're going to give is that any business that signs onto the 24-hour economy, apart from tax incentives that we're yet to formulate and offer to them, would also get priority in terms of their production in government purchase. Government is the biggest spender in this economy. And so if we say if you're a 24-hour economy business and you produce cooking oil, any government money that is expended on buying cooking oil would go towards your product. We'll give a list of the products that are being produced under the policy and make a firm directive to government agencies that you must buy this product. If you have to buy this product, if you have to buy a product like this, then this is what we expect you to do.
Right.
But it won't be just for those businesses. It will be for all businesses that are producing in Ghana, that we prioritize and use government's budget to assist them, to expand their production. I don't see why we have businesses producing transformers in Ghana, producing cables, and then we import cables from other countries or transformers from other countries. And if there's a product that we actually have a high demand for, we must encourage those who import it to establish the processing capacity here and produce locally, so that we can produce for the Ghanaian market of 33 million people and also produce for the African market. So far, the last I heard, which was early this year, Ghana had registered 77 products on the African Continental Free Trade Area. Others are like 300 products and over, almost hitting 500. So we must accelerate how many products we are putting on offer that we can export to other countries. And that's why I say I'll chair an accelerated export development program, personally as president, to remove all the bottlenecks that our exporters face so that they can export more. Recently I've seen a chart going around that shows the volume of imports Ghana makes, and it's anybody who sees it will feel disturbed, because those are many products that we have a comparative advantage to produce. And so how do we do import substitution? By increasing our capacity locally and reducing how much of those things that we import for those that we have a comparative advantage to produce. So those are all things that we're going to be working on. It's not going to be easy. I tell everybody that the easy part is over, which was the campaign and the election. The difficult part starts now.
Absolutely.
And I know that we can count on our bilateral partners like Canada every step of the way.
Absolutely.
My doors are open.
Thank you.
And I'll be knocking on your door too constantly.
Please.
If there are any issues that I think we need your help with.
Allow me to react on a couple of your points. So on the mining, I think you're absolutely right. Something needs to be done because it's impacting the environment, it's impacting future generations. And yesterday I was actually speaking to the son of the Asante Ene, and he was talking about that conference that they want to put together from the standpoint of policy and regulations. So you're absolutely right when you're talking about the small miners. It's not illegal, but you need to have proper regulations.
Exactly.
You need to ensure that therefore follow those regulations. So there's a need to have like some enforcement as well as part of that. The other piece that you mentioned was with respect to making the environment more welcoming to businesses. And I think that's important as well because there's lots of opportunities. However, people seem to be afraid of coming to the current environment because they feel that it's not going to be very easy, it's not easy to navigate, and there are other factors that may deter them from like coming and investing in Ghana. So there's lots of work that we can do together in order like to really encourage companies to actually come and settle in Ghana. One of the things that might help, I know that there are negotiations right now so that there can be direct flights from Canada to Ghana. So that would be good because it will increase the accessibility. The mention that you had with respect to the Vice President, I just wanted to come back very quickly on that one because you did talk about the glass ceiling, but it's actually not a small feat. I think it was a concrete ceiling. And we have had that like in Canada as well. So I mean, so I'm very happy that like you blew up
the concrete ceiling.
Exactly. And I was very pleased like to hear as well that notion of like this is a partnership and that she's there in her own right. And I think that's what we want to see for women, for young girls, that they can see examples and that they can see, oh, this is achievable. Being myself, like, I mean, here, it's also another example where it's like, okay, yes, it's possible on many fronts. When we are talking about the investment pieces as well, I do think that one of the things that would be helpful is ensuring that companies are being paid on time. Because that's also another factor that has been like a huge deterrent, having like to fight to get like the money that is being owed. So something to keep in mind as things are evolving. I think that you're absolutely global health, the agriculture, Canada has lots of expertise that we can lend. On the mining energy front, we've been working with the Volta River Authority. There's been some talks that have taken place between the Northern Alberta Technology Institute with your Petroleum Commission. That has been put on hold, so we're hoping that this can be revived because again, like there's lots of things that could be done in that area and we will be more than happy to support. On that front, there is also, I've been told to give you an invitation, so I'm going to give you that invitation to the Global Energy Show 2025. That will be in Calgary. So the invitation is from the organizers as well as your acting ambassador, High Commissioner in Ottawa. So if you can attend, this is a great energy conference, and historically Ghana presence has been like very strong at this event, and I'm sure they would want you to come and to speak to all the good work that you would have done leading to that point.
No, the notice is sufficiently long.
Excellent.
June 10th. June 10th.
Exactly. We just wanted to make sure that it's on your radar.
Yes, so it makes it easy to factor it into our schedule. Okay, so we'll take note of that. And so thank you very much. You're not the only country to raise the issue of payments. I met the American ambassador, and she also raised payments to international companies that have done work. You know, I thought that government treated only domestic companies so shabbily. I didn't know that it had extended to international companies. But she gave us a list of American companies that, you know, have done work and not been paid. I don't know if they are Canadian companies, but if we get that list, then we can keep a focus on it and see how.
And on the mining front, it's also about protecting the interest of those companies.
Yes.
So I was talking to some of the companies, and because they fear so much about the security and then their investment
Yes.
being jeopardized.
Yeah.
Some of them are even thinking about exiting and going to countries that they feel will be
More,
safer
yeah.
and that will protect their interests
Okay.
more. So something to also keep in mind.
Okay.
Because there's lots of opportunities, but the environment also needs to be conducive to.
I can assure you, High Commissioner, the environment is going to change.
Okay.
Yeah. Ghana is going to open for business again.
That is great.
Thank you. Thank you very much.